Okay, I'm sorry.
Gotta hit it off with a bang.
Wait.
All right.
Dale.
Be good.
9 years ago, I lived in a homeless shelter for abused women and children. There were 5 of us that lived in a small bedroom, probably as long as that chalkboard, and up to this 3rd row. It was me, my 2 brothers, my sister, and my mother. Times were hard for us. We didn't have any money. We didn't have our own home. We barely had any clothes. We had little to nothing to eat. And then when Christmas came around, we couldn't even afford a present. But we still celebrated Christmas, though. You want to know how? Volunteers. They came from the local church and donated food, presents, and their time so that we could have a Christmas. Because of volunteers, I didn't have to watch my mother cry of sadness, but I got to see her cry of joy. What would you do if you were down? If you were out of luck? You had nowhere to turn. There's nothing left for you. So today I'd like to talk to you about the need for more volunteers. Second, where to sign up to be a volunteer. And lastly, the benefits of volunteering. So I'll begin by telling you about the volunteering. The world is always in need of volunteers. But the problem is there's just not enough. The demand is always rising. There's always people in need. There's always something to do. From World Volunteer Web, they claim that in 2010 there were 47 million Americans in poverty, up 10 million from 2007. That's a huge gap. And from WorldHungerNotes.org, around the world there were over 900 million people starving. They either had little or nothing to eat. And then there are the unexplained natural disasters like the tsunamis, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, the fires, and other natural disasters that require volunteers to help communities get back on their feet. So this is where donations and volunteers come into the picture. With volunteers, organizations or groups can swiftly and easily come to the aid or any situation at hand. And with donations, organizations can offer more to the people that they are helping. For example, vehicles, food, clothes, and money. So now I'll give you some information on where to join and how to join. But first, I want to share a little info about how many people actually volunteered between 2008 and 2010. In the U.S., there were about 60 million people that volunteered their time. And of those 60 million, they donated about 8 billion hours in total. They raised about $173 billion. And the 4 popular places that they volunteered were fundraisers, collecting and distributing food, general labor, and tutoring. And if you want to volunteer, it's as simple as turning in a job application. Walk in, call, or look online, or anywhere volunteers are needed. A couple of places that need volunteers are shelters, animal shelters, hospitals, food banks, churches, any kind of religious home, schools, social offices. And when you have free time, look into those and see what you can do. So now that you know a little bit about volunteering, let me tell you about the benefits. It's human nature to want to be rewarded for something you've done. It's the thought of helping someone else for a greater cause, or it's a greater cause greater than anything else that you'll do in your life. You will find that there's no physical reward that can be placed in your hand when you volunteer. One of the benefits of volunteering is the motivation and sense of achievement that you feel. As a volunteer, you make a decision to help on your own, free from pressure to act from others. Volunteers predominantly express a sense of achievement and motivation, and this is ultimately generated from your desire and enthusiasm to help. And you're more connected with your community. You meet new people. You can meet maybe you have friends that need help or need assistance. And people in societies codepend on each other for survival, but growths of such things are commercialized and seeing traditional values being disregarded. What's a better way to be connected with your community than to give some time or some kind of item back? As a volunteer, you certainly return to society some of the benefits that society has given you. And another benefit is it looks good on your job or school application. Most universities expect you to have some sort of extracurricular activity. When they see that you volunteered, they will be ecstatic. And same with most jobs. They like someone who is active in the community and doing a difference to change it for the better. So in conclusion, I've explained the need for volunteers, information on where to look, and the benefits of volunteering. It's on you to make the decision if you want to touch someone's life and feel something greater than anything felt before. And I plan on donating a bunch of toys to Knott's for that Toys for Tots if anyone else wants to join me. And thank you for your time.
Katie, what did you think? Is she not here?
Isn't it? Wasn't it
Katie Johnson.
Oh, Katie Johnson. She's not here.
She's not here. Okay, well.
There it is. She was really sick.
All right, well, I thought you had a good dramatic personal story, and you make an excellent transition to the topic. You got a solid statement of what your goal is, and although the preview is very simple, it's clear and it's going to be easy to follow, so that also keeps the structure during the speech pretty straightforward. The content issues could be developed a little bit more. I did like some of the information that you had about poverty and malnutrition and about the number of volunteers that there are. I think it would be helpful if we knew, for instance, some places where there were particular needs for volunteers, where there were shortages. I think in trying to create a motivational appeal, you could use some more examples to show us why that need is really important, not just to point out that the world's full of poor people, but poor people who are struggling, who are in situations that we can empathize with, where we could make a difference. Like I said, I think the opening story that you have works really well. You need some more things like that. And the same thing is true for the benefits that somebody's going to get from volunteering, the satisfaction or the personal rewards that they're going to get from it. I think there are probably stories and people who volunteered that would be, that they're out there, they're sharing this kind of information, trying to get others to do this, and you could probably find some of those stories that would make it a lot more emotionally involving there. I think you've got a good basic idea. There's a little bit of information on each of the points to develop it, just enough. It just felt slightly undercooked. It's not that what you had was poor. It's just, I think there's so much more that you could do with it. Delivery issues, there are some problems. You do have a tendency to read everything, and when you got away from reading, I thought you were a little bit better, but you don't get away from reading too much, and you tend to look down most of the time, and you've got those pages in your hand, and you're focused on them, and so you're not engaged. This is the end of the term. These are the last speeches that were, the last prepared speeches anyway that people are doing, and we need to be getting past this point where you are so dependent on the script and what people have written down on the page. Remember that I said at the first week of class, one of the major issues that you need to focus on is the relational dimension of the message, not just the message itself. And the relational dimension is almost always influenced by those nonverbal factors. So people need to pay attention to that. All right, thank you.